Mia, why don't you go ahead and oh, this is you. This is one of your chickens, and Jack's.
I wasn't ready. Yes, that is chicken feet. That was one of my favorite chickens. I named my chickens. Of course, this was my first small flock. Anyway, y'all know I'll get to talking about this picture forever. I was not expecting it. It was a big surprise. I like that picture though. Um, okay. So, I first started working with birds early in 2020. I think it was late winter, early spring. So, um, and well, I was inspired by a visit to the local farm store. I don't remember why we was there. Me and my grandmother was there. I was captivated by the vibrant connection between chickens and edible sustainable gardening. So, while I was researching, I learned that we was allowed to have six chickens in the city, and it was on. Um, my hyperfixation kind of started at that point, um, and so that's how everything got started. Some of my goals, I would like to establish a community-sized sustainable egg operation to provide fresh local eggs to our community. And educate our youth on sustainable urban farming practices. And I want to bring chicken showmanship to our local schools and neighborhoods. In the suburbs, they have like chicken shows, like they would have dog shows, and I think that's super cool. And I would love to bring that to the community. Like Dorothy said, people have a lot of misconception about chickens. Most people I know have a horrible story about being chased by some chicken or attacked by some rooster. And they don't have to be like that. So I spend a lot of time with my chickens to make sure that they're super docile and we train them. I name them. I haven't eaten any, but I will eat named chickens because they're chickens. I go into this, knowing what I'm doing. But I do, there's no reason not to love and take care of passionately something that is meant for food. So, oh my goodness, I got off track. Where am I at? Yeah. Okay. And so, how will working with the team help me reach my goals? I think that a team will bring diverse expertise. I'm super excited to learn about pigeons. That's something I just started hyper focusing on. So, the shared resources and, of course, mentorship. Uh, you know, that'll enhance our ability to establish a sustainable operation together. We're powerful, more powerful together than we are alone. Strengths, I excel in natural disease prevention, um, you know, uh, brainstorming efficient coop designs, not necessarily building them, but I'm good at reaching out to people and promoting things on a people that I come in contact with. So, like on a face-to-face basis. Let me see. What's some of my weaknesses? I think some of my biggest weaknesses are learning about and securing funding for uh, my ventures or whatever. So yeah, those are some of my weaknesses. You can't rely on me for things like I wrote these all down, y'all. I brainstormed them, but you can't rely on me for things like I'm not always on time. I'm just not. But I'm coming. I'll be there, So that's something, and I'm not good at like web design or anything of that nature, because I just be bored, so I can't do it. Um, uh, how do I think? Oh, how do I want us to benefit from this venture? Again, I think that us coming together collaboratively will make things better because we can share knowledge and bounce it off of each other. What I know, somebody else don't know, and vice versa, which will increase our profitability and grant ability, quote unquote, through our collaborative efforts and community benefit. Um, Oh, how do I want to community? All right. So I want to benefit the community by providing educational outreach. I want to teach the children and the community members how to create affordable food sources and, ultimately create community green, safe spaces, enhancing our community's well-being and ability to work together. Because we want to move away from big government, right? How And my worries that I have, I do worry about securing funding for operations and so, just, lots of reaching out. I'm learning as I go. I'm a big time learner. I love to learn. So I'm just kind of learning this along the way. Strive to partner with local businesses and organizations whenever possible because, we're all one community. And exposure and advertising, but I know Matt got that pretty much on lockdown. He's pretty good at that. So yeah, that's it. That's Mia.
Well, thank you. You had a couple of things out. Did somebody have a question real quick before I ask mine? Thought I heard somebody trying to jump in. Anyway, you had mentioned about the coop designs. That's the thing that kind of stuck in my brain. So you have like a file of like this different types of designs of coops that you've come up with over years.
Lots and lots and lots and lots.
Well, that's fun too. That's one of the things that I would be curious about is, because there's different types of yards and types of places that you could have these things. So having a diverse file of coops and coop designs might be very useful.
Yeah, different coops for different reasons and like different areas and like different problems. Some places flood, they need higher coops. Always want to try to make it convenient to get that wonderful poop out of there and throw it in a compost or whatever. I am infatuated with like rain capture systems so that you don't have to water your birds all the time and they can kind of just have their own system, just stuff like that.
Okay. Do you do anything with regarding like I've seen something where they build these they call them machines, but it's basically just cardboard and boxes and stuff like that to create like soldier flies to make larvae to eat. Do you do any kind of thing like that?
Absolutely not. I would, and I do have plans for that as well. So like a chicken coop with a self-watering system and some soldier fly larvae on the side. Bam, your chickens are really doing their own thing. Especially if they get free range. You just gotta keep them clean and check on them every so often. Now you can like play and cuddle with them or whatever.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions?
Actually, I have a question or two, maybe. Mia, you said that you're allowed to have 6 chickens. Is that the max or is that the minimum?
So last time that I checked, I do believe that we are now allowed to have 8 chickens in the city. It used to be 6, but we're just not allowed to have any roosters, which I believe is tied to cockfighting back in the days.
That was my next question. I was gonna say, if you're allowed to have 6 chickens, how many roosters are you allowed to have? But I wouldn't. Well, depending on people wouldn't want roosters because of the hatching of the eggs. Is that correct?
Right. So if you have a rooster, then you can breed them to have, more chickens. And I mean, you can still eat them. You might get a semi-developed egg if you don't harvest them in enough time. But if you're not trying to have chickens, you really don't need roosters.
Okay. Good question. I thought it was because of the early morning rooster crow in the morning that you wouldn't be allowed to have it.
Fun fact, girl chickens, hens, crow as well. I'm sure as Dorothy could probably, back up. Girls, they will, they'll cock-a-doodle-doo as well. And then the egg song, I ran out of words. The girls will they have an egg song that's kind of like bok 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 bagok bok 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 bagok, and that is loud. It means I laid an egg, everybody.
I did not know that. I'm glad I asked. That would be a one concern I'd have about a rooster, but now that's a concern to think about. They're gonna be loud, or at least
But they're not even that loud though.
they're
They're
loud.
really
Okay,
not even that loud. It's not. But then, I might be biased. I like it. It's comforting to me. I enjoy it.
fair
They
enough.
make this weird growling sound most of the time. That's like a rah, rah. That's the most that they sound. That's, they're dinosaurs and all of that.
Um, I, my last thing, what do you do with them in the wintertime? Like when it's all snowing stuff outside? Like how do you care for them when it's freezing cold?
So, yeah, chickens are way more hardy in the wintertime than they are in the summertime. So you are more at risk at losing a chicken in the summer when from overheating than you are for losing them in the winter. So, and I'm horrible with numbers, so don't quote me, but I think if the temperature is like below freezing or maybe like 20 degrees, um, then you want to kind of give them a little extra insulation. But most of the time and it's only if it's going to be like super cold for like 4 or 5 days in a row. Like 1 day or 2 day, they can definitely handle it. It'll bounce back up. They'll go up in the top of the coop or whatever, and they'll huddle together. Those feathers are warm. You stick your finger in there, I think it's like 102 degrees. You stick your fingers in there. That's why we put feathers in our coats and things like that because it was super warm. So they're really pretty hardy, but a little bit just making sure their water don't freeze. Putting a little extra insulation for the windshield. That's another big factor. So if it's not windy, they're a lot more warm than if the wind is breaking up their insulation because their feathers is a natural insulation. So if the wind hit it, it'll separate their insulation and then they'll be cold. But they're pretty hardy in the wintertime. It's not a whole lot you have to do.
Oh, I feel better about that already. Well, thank you, Mia. Does anybody else have any other questions before we move on to Ryan?
Yeah, not necessarily a question, but maybe a statement. Well, maybe a question. I just was what I have been doing a little bit of research on chickens and pigeons together, and I came across a video that said that chickens don't necessarily need to have access to food and water at night, so it's best to remove them for health benefits. Would you agree with that?
I totally would agree with that. Would you say, Dorothy?
I would.
Me too, because at night they go dormant. They go into a phase. I don't know if pigeons do this, but they go into I don't know if it's a titanic, don't quote me. I don't know that word. But it's a natural phenomenon where they go dormant at night. They can't protect themselves. That's why it's important to lock them up at night. A raccoon or a possum, something could reach right in there, take the birds out, and they can't defend themselves. Where in the daytime, they do a really good job at defending themselves and looking out for danger and hiding, but they don't have that at night. Therefore, they are not eating. And if you have a smaller coop, you're just going to wake up with a bunch of poop in the food because they do poop while they're asleep, but they won't protect themselves and they don't eat or drink water. So, if you can, it won't hurt at all. I would call it a preference personally.
Okay.
Some things to consider with that too is if you have food in your coop at night and it's not locked up, that's inviting mice and other things into your coop. And the water in the coop also causes like condensation, which wouldn't be good in the wintertime because birds are more sensitive to like respiratory illnesses and such.
It's good to know.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that as well.
Matt, you had a question too?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, you mentioned you Scott, you had the question about the weather, and I know I was talking to Dorothy about she was telling me about a practice that she uses to can you know what I'm talking about, Dorothy? I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah. I do what's called the deep litter method. So I only clean my coop out probably every season change. I'll do a deep clean of the coop, but I keep sand in the bottom. Oh well, when I set up my coop, it's a kind of a shed coop setup, and I put linoleum on the bottom so it's not straight wood, so it doesn't rot over time as fast. But then I put a whole bunch of sand on top, and then throughout the summer and spring, I kind of let stuff not accumulate, and I clean up some and keep up with it, laying down lime and stuff. But it kind of accumulates and decomposes, and in the wintertime, I'll like sprinkle, and throughout the seasons, sprinkle straw on top, and that helps decompose and break down everything. And then in the wintertime, because it's decomposing, it kind of creates heat in the coop. So if it's -2 outside, it might be like 20 inside the coop, so it's less elements to the birds. I don't know if I explained that properly.
I get it. I get what you're saying. I like that, building in the the composting, kind of creating that heat naturally.
Okay. And then the next, Ryan, you and I, we were talking about the different type of eggs that chickens lay, and we both weren't sure, but I said I know that Mia, you were telling me about the different type of, like, the chickens that you have. They lay like speckled eggs and so on and so forth. Can you elaborate on some of the different egg types that chickens lay?
So yes, I picked all of my chickens based on the color of their eggs. I didn't care anything about how they looked, well, and temperament, because I have kids and I planned on having children. They will be a part of my children's program, so to be super child friendly. Excuse me. So they have different temperaments, just like dogs, in a way, and as well as egg color. So you got the egg shape, the egg size. Some have speckles, some don't. And the color, they come in red, blue, pink, white, of course, so boring. Brown, and then they got like a chocolate. It's like a deep dark brown. Did I say blue? Blue and pink are some of my favorites. There's just a variety of colors, and as we continue to genetically manipulate chickens, we'll get other colors. But that's pretty cool. They all eat the same. They're all the same. Some of them, like the blue ones, they have a blue inner shell. The inside of the shell, if you turn it in, if you look on the inside of the shell, it's like has a blue hue to it. That's pretty cool. But yeah, so I picked all of my chickens based on their egg type.
And the flavor's the same, across the blue egg to the brown to the red.
Absolutely, it's all the same. Now, what can change the flavor, consistency, and color of your egg is what you feed your chickens. But it'll still pretty much have, the same flavor, but it'll change a little bit, like hot peppers, turmeric, stuff like that. It'll still taste the same. It still have healthy nutrients or better.
Just the tag onto that. What about like size? Like if I wanted jumbo eggs, is there a jumbo egg size laying chicken? Or
it is. Okay. It is. They come in different sizes. I had Midnight Majestic Morans, and they lay jumbo eggs. And at first they were like pretty small, which is typical of young chickens. And then after the years went by, I'm looking at the jumbo ones at the grocery store, like my chickens is killing these, like they were just huge. They're big and they're fatty and heavy, and of course taste better. But yeah, if you want jumbo eggs, you get jumbo egg laying chickens.
Okay, good to know.